We continue the ceremony by recognizing those who have made this day possible. Beginning with the Mayor of Florida City, Mr. Otis Wallace. And Mrs. Wallace. I also wish to recognize Mr. Ruben Arias of the Miami-Dade County Director of Public Affairs. Mr. Javier Suarez, Miami-Dade County Commissioner, or his representative. Mr. R.S. Shiver, Florida City Commissioner. Ms. Sharon Butler, Florida City Commissioner. Avis Brown, Florida City Vice Mayor. The Mayor of the City of Doral, J.C. Bermudez. Representing U.S. Senator Marco Rubio, Aline Cruz Higgins is here. And Nuri Soler. Also Alina Garcia, who is representing Congressman David Rivera. A couple more. Ricardo Gonzalez, Chacua. He's the executive aide of Miami-Dade County District 7 and a Florida City alumni. Amen. Maurice Hernandez, Miami-Dade County District 8 for Commissioner Linda Bell. Esperanza de Varona, Cuban Heritage Collection Chairperson. Joanne Hippolyte, History Miami Chief Curator. And Caridad McNamara, Barry University, Director of University Sponsorship Programs. At this moment, I'm going to ask that the Pedro Pan Board of Directors and Trustees please rise so you can be recognized. Starting with President Carmencita Romagnac, Maria de la Milera, Paco Echevarría, Jorge Finlay, Ángel Córdoba, Miriam Castro, and Carmen Valdivia, who is the chairperson of this historic committee that has brought this event to us. All right. And now some opening remarks by the Honorable Mayor of Florida City, Mr. Otis Wallace.
What a beautiful day the Lord has given us today. On behalf of the City of Florida City, the Vice Mayor, City Commission, and the people we so proudly represent, I'd like to thank you for joining us here today in this celebration and commemoration of Operation Pedro Plan, a true triumph of the human spirit. I spent my entire life in Florida City, and we've always called this area the Cuban Village. And I never knew why. There were no Cubans here during my upbringing. And I venture to say most of the citizens of Florida City who still call this the Cuban Village today don't know of the rich history of Pedro Pan. I think today is the beginning of fixing that. When I first became aware of the rich history of this area, I was truly moved. I didn't know that that generic name had such a rich history. I didn't know that for 19 years, Gene Leon, working with me at Florida City, was himself a Pedro Pan baby. And I worked with this guy for 19 years. I didn't know that Commissioner R.S. Shiver was actually a city commissioner, and still is, by the way, during the time period of Pedro Pan. R.S.? It was unfortunate that it took so long for us to know our part in such a rich and wonderful history, but we're fixing that today. This democracy and freedom that we cherish has never, ever really been free. Throughout history, there have been sacrifices, pain and sacrifices of those who fought to get it and those who fought to keep it. This particular operation, I was really touched when I first heard the story, because I couldn't think of a greater love a parent can show than to make the sacrifice of separation to ensure that their kids would have the gift of freedom and democracy. Those of us that have had it all of our lives sometimes take it for granted. But when you see what type of sacrifices were meant by those to ensure that their kids had it, freedom means a lot more to me today than it did yesterday. And I think the offspring and children of the members of Operation Pedro Pan, you have a rich heritage born in freedom. When I think of the pain, the strength, and determination you had to have to separate from your parents in search of freedom, and not only survive the ordeal, but to go on to become productive, outstanding citizens of our society without ever making an excuse for the difficulty of your journey. I think you truly represent the best that is America. And I think the shining example you've shown here will be forever, ever remembered. So I'd like to say that I'm proud of the small role our city played on behalf of the U.S. government in making that journey not only possible, but a journey to excellence. And I salute all of you. Since I found out about Pedro Pan, all over the county, I'm meeting people who tell me they were here. And as I said before, they were all no excuse making, good, productive citizens. And I think that's your mantra. So I'd like to ask the Vice Mayor and the City Commissioners of Florida City to join me as we present a very much deserved proclamation on behalf of Florida City in commemoration of your journey to freedom. Commissioners. I used to be able to read these things without my glasses. Unfortunately, that time is gone with the wind. So I'd like to ask Carmencita to come forward as we present you with this proclamation on behalf of our community. Whereas Operation Pedro Pan Camp Incorporated is a nonprofit organization created in 1991 by former children of Operation Pedro Pan. This organization was founded to fulfill a pledge of Thanksgiving done in 1990. And whereas the pledge was done to honor the sacrifice of the parents and the noble nation that welcomed us and the people who made it all possible, Monsignor Brian Walsh, who I knew personally, a great man. The pledge includes the promise to give back to the community and help other children. Whereas from its inception on December 26, 1960, until it came to an end on January 22nd, 1962, more than 14,000 children became part of the Pedro Pan exodus. The children were between the ages of 5 to 18 years of age and comprised every racial and social class representative of all regions of Cuba. And whereas Pedro Pan parents were compelled to decide between the Marxist indoctrination that the government was imposing on the country or send their children by themselves from Cuba to the United States, and whereas considered a major significant event in the respective histories of the United States and Cuba, Operation Pedro Pan remains the largest children's exodus in the Western Hemisphere. Many of the children en masse during this period resided in Florida City in an area called Cuban Village. There it goes again. Located on Northwest 2nd Avenue between 14th and 16th Street. The state of Florida has rightly designated the site of Operation Pedro Pan Florida City Camp a cultural heritage landmark, as it should be. Whereas the parents of Pedro Pan children made the supreme sacrifice that could only be expected of parents who love their children unconditionally, which is the painful sacrifice of separation to protect them from any danger. It is with pleasure that it's with pleasure now that it be resolved that I, Otis T. Wallace, Mayor of the City of Florida City, Florida, do hereby proclaim this Friday, November 16th, 2012, be declared Operation Pedro Pan Day in the city of Florida City. And as we finish this celebration and move forward with it, with the unveiling of the street sign and the marquee here, I want kids in the future, when they ride their bicycles through this area, as I once did, and they look up and see this plaque and see this sign, that they beg the question, what is this all about? And I think this community needs to make a commitment that the kids in our school know what Operation Pedro Pan means. I know in Florida City, I'm going to suggest to our principal that they make the kids aware of this great story that took place under our very eyes. Thank you so much for coming out, and keep up the good work.